Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. This time we're focusing on ADHD and how it can affect our ability to concentrate and be productive.
It's going to be really interesting to explore this topic in detail.
It is. Now, we'll be looking at the ADHD Focus Friend, a book by Grace Colma.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. The excerpts you've sent in look really interesting, and hopefully we can get some helpful advice from this deep dive into this book about managing life with ADHD.
Definitely. So maybe a good starting point would be to lay down a basic understanding of ADHD.
Absolutely. The book begins with just that, a foundational look at ADHD.
So just to clarify, we're talking about a neurobiological condition.
Right, one that's thought to impact roughly 6% of children and 2.5% of adults.
Wow, that's a significant portion of the population. Now, it's important to note that ADHD doesn't present in a uniform manner.
Oh, absolutely not. It manifests in 3 distinct ways.
Hyperactive, impulsive, inattentive, and combined are the 3 presentations.
You got it. This just goes to show how diverse ADHD is and how differently it can affect individuals.
Makes sense. Now, how is ADHD typically diagnosed?
Well, a formal diagnosis often involves a pretty thorough evaluation by a healthcare professional.
I see. Does that evaluation usually utilize the criteria laid out in the DSM-5?
It often does, but it's also worth mentioning that self-diagnosis can be an important step for many individuals.
Absolutely. It can be a crucial catalyst for introspection and self-acceptance. So how does the book approach the diagnosis aspect?
Well, it stresses the importance of intersectionality.
An interesting concept. For those unfamiliar, can we elaborate on that a bit?
Of course. Intersectionality basically acknowledges the role of various social factors in shaping an individual's experience with ADHD.
I understand. So things like gender, race, economic background, even the way we were raised?
Exactly. All of these factors play a role. It's vital to consider these intersecting elements to truly grasp the multifaceted nature of ADHD.
Couldn't agree more. So having laid down the groundwork, where does the book go next?
It shifts gears to the challenges that folks with ADHD often grapple with, particularly those that impact productivity.
I'd imagine things like impulsivity, executive dysfunction, and the notorious time blindness.
You nailed it. These are some of the major hurdles that can make achieving productivity goals a real struggle.
It sounds like a recipe for frustration and a feeling of constantly playing catch-up.
Definitely. But the beauty of this book is that it balances these challenges by shining a light on the strengths that often accompany ADHD.
So amid the struggles, there are these inherent abilities that often go unnoticed or unappreciated.
Exactly. We're talking about creativity, divergent thinking, and a vibrant energy that can be a real catalyst for innovation.
So it's about recognizing and harnessing these strengths to navigate the challenges more effectively.
Precisely. The story of Bernice, as shared in the book, really illustrates this complex interplay of strengths and difficulties.
Interesting. Tell me more about Bernice's experience.
Well, despite facing various obstacles, Bernice managed to achieve success by leveraging her unique ADHD attributes.
It sounds like a testament to the fact that ADHD is not a deficiency, but rather a different way of interacting with the world.
Exactly. Her journey underscores that it's about working with our unique wiring, not against it.
Powerful stuff. So where does the book take us from there?
It dives deep into emotional regulation, a topic that resonates with many.
I can see why. Emotions play a huge role in how we function, especially for those with ADHD.
Absolutely. The book highlights the strong connection between ADHD and emotional dysregulation, stressing its impact on focus and productivity.
Interesting. Does it offer any insights into how emotional regulation works in practice?
It does. The book breaks down emotional regulation into 4 stages and uses a really relatable example. Forgetting your ski gear.
Clever, something we can all relate to. So how does forgetting ski gear relate to emotional regulation?
It shows how even minor events can set off a chain reaction of thoughts, emotions, physical sensations, and ultimately actions.
So it's like a domino effect. One thing triggers the next, and before you know it, you're in a spiral.
Exactly. And this is where the concept of clickbait thoughts comes into play.
Clickbait thoughts? That sounds intriguing. Tell me more.
Well, the book encourages us to become aware of those captivating, often negative interpretations our minds tend to latch onto.
You mean those knee-jerk reactions that sometimes hijack our thinking?
You got it. It's like our minds are drawn to the most dramatic headline, even if it's not the most accurate reflection of the situation.
Makes sense. So the book suggests we challenge these clickbait thoughts and actively seek alternative viewpoints.
Precisely. It's about training our minds to be more discerning, to look beyond the surface and consider other perspectives.
It's like learning to distinguish the sensationalized news headlines from the actual story.
A perfect analogy. The book also shares Georgie's personal story of self-discovery and acceptance.
I'm always fascinated by personal stories. How does Georgie's experience relate to the concept of emotional regulation?
Georgie's story emphasizes the importance of recognizing and understanding our emotional patterns in effectively managing ADHD.
It's about knowing ourselves better and becoming more adept at navigating the emotional landscape.
Exactly. And from this understanding of emotional regulation, the book leads us to another critical aspect: the ADHD nervous system.
The nervous system, that's the control center of our body, right?
It is. And the book proposes that individuals with ADHD often have sensitive nervous systems.
Sensitive in what way?
Sensitive to both overstimulation and understimulation, which can affect mood, focus, and overall well-being.
Now that you mention it, I can see how that could be a major factor. Could you elaborate a bit on overstimulation and understimulation?
Think of it like this. Imagine a system that's constantly bombarded with input, from the quiet hum of appliances to the noise of a crowded room.
So it's like having the volume turned up too high, making it hard to filter out what's important.
Exactly. And then there's understimulation, which is like having the volume set too low.
I imagine that can lead to boredom, restlessness, and difficulty concentrating.
Precisely. And the book does a great job of detailing the symptoms associated with both overstimulation and understimulation.
So it equips readers with the knowledge to recognize these states within themselves.
You got it. It also introduces the concept of interoception, the ability to perceive sensations within our own bodies.
Interoception, that's an interesting concept. Can you unpack that a bit further?
Think of it as tuning into your body's internal communication system.
So it's about being more aware of what's happening inside our bodies, like our heart rate, breathing, or even hunger pangs.
You got it. And interoception can be a real game changer for managing ADHD because it helps us spot those early warning signs of dysregulation.
Those subtle cues that tell us something is off kilter before we reach a point of overwhelm or meltdown.
Exactly. The sooner we learn to recognize these signals, the better equipped we are to manage them effectively.
So interoception is like having an early warning system for our nervous system.
A fantastic way to put it. And to further assist with managing the nervous system, the book introduces a valuable tool: 10 types of rest.
10 types of rest sounds intriguing. How does this concept differ from the usual understanding of rest?
It goes beyond the typical idea of physical rest and highlights various ways to revitalize our nervous systems.
So it's about recognizing that rest can take many forms and that different activities can provide unique forms of rejuvenation.
Precisely. For instance, it includes categories like emotional rest, sensory rest, and even creative rest.
Creative rest, that's a new one for me. What does that entail?
It's about giving your mind a break from generating ideas and allowing yourself to simply absorb beauty and inspiration.
I like that. And I imagine categories like altruistic rest and ecological rest are equally intriguing.
Absolutely. Altruistic rest involves engaging in acts of kindness and service, while ecological rest is about connecting with nature.
It's fascinating to see how diverse the concept of rest can be.
The key takeaway is that we need to discover the types of rest that best nourish our individual nervous systems.
Finding what truly replenishes us and integrating those practices into our daily lives.
Exactly. And the book uses Tara's experience as a parent with ADHD to illustrate how understanding and managing her nervous system makes a tangible difference in her daily life.
I'm curious to learn more about Tara's experience, but I think that's a great place to pause for now.
Agreed. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, exploring the foundational aspects of ADHD, its challenges and strengths, the importance of emotional regulation, and the unique workings of the ADHD nervous system.
We've laid a solid foundation for the upcoming segments where we'll delve into goal setting, hyperfocus, and more practical strategies for navigating life with ADHD.
We'll be back after a short break to continue this fascinating conversation. Stay tuned.
So picking up where we left off, let's move into the area of goal setting. This is often a tricky area for those with ADHD.
It can be. The book digs into the concept of what's called demand avoidance, this resistance we sometimes feel towards tasks or demands put upon us.
Almost as if there's a built-in sensor in our brains that triggers whenever we feel a lack of control.
Right, like, hey, I need to have a say in this. The book suggests that this inherent need for autonomy is absolutely essential to keep in mind when we set and try to achieve goals.
It makes sense, really. We thrive when we feel ownership over our actions. But this then kind of reframes procrastination, doesn't it?
It totally does.
Yeah.
Procrastination might actually be a signal. It's like it's saying, hold on, there might be something deeper going on here.
Interesting perspective. Instead of just labeling it as laziness or a lack of discipline, we should see it as a chance to dig deeper.
Exactly. It could be that we're not truly interested, or maybe the goals don't line up with our values, or maybe it's a sign of burnout.
I see. So by understanding the root cause, we can address the procrastination more effectively.
Absolutely. And the book offers some practical techniques for that, like body doubling.
Body doubling. How does that work?
It's basically having someone work alongside you, even if it's virtually, to provide support and accountability.
Kind of like a workout buddy for your to-do list, I guess. Having someone there to keep you motivated and on track.
Exactly. It can make a huge difference. Another useful tool the book offers is the DivCon planning template.
That's a mouthful. What's that all about?
It's specifically designed to help people with ADHD balance their divergent thinking with convergent thinking.
Interesting. So it's about bridging the gap between generating ideas and actually executing them.
Precisely. Because individuals with ADHD often excel at brainstorming and coming up with innovative ideas.
Right, but then they might struggle with the linear step-by-step process required to bring those ideas to life.
You got it. And this template provides a framework to navigate that transition from the expansive world of possibilities to focused action.
That makes a lot of sense. So shifting gears a bit, let's talk about a strength that's often associated with ADHD. Hyperfocus.
Oh, hyperfocus. It's that state of intense absorption where time seems to melt away and you're totally engrossed in something.
I've definitely experienced that. It can be incredibly productive, but also a bit of a double-edged sword.
The book uses a really clever analogy to describe hyperfocus. A long-haul flight.
Ooh, I like that. How does the analogy work?
It captures the feeling of taking off, where there's this initial excitement and energy as you dive into the task.
Right, like you're soaring through it, making incredible progress.
Exactly. But it also acknowledges the potential challenges of landing, recognizing that intense hyperfocus can lead to disorientation and fatigue.
Makes sense. It's like you've been so focused on that one thing that you've lost track of everything else.
And then there's this thing called the fear of losing the spark.
What's that all about?
It's about that initial enthusiasm we feel that can fade over time. And the book encourages us to embrace this ebb and flow.
So instead of beating ourselves up when the initial excitement wanes, we should accept that fluctuations in interest are normal.
Exactly. It's part of the ADHD experience. Instead of seeing it as a failure, we can view it as an opportunity for growth.
Shifting gears a bit, let's talk about a struggle that resonates with many individuals with ADHD, including myself, the feeling of overwhelm.
Oh yeah, the feeling of being bombarded with too much information or having a million things to do.
It's as if our brains are wired to see the entire project with all its complexities all at once.
Like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Yeah, right.
You just get flooded and don't know where to start.
Precisely. The book emphasizes that this ability to grasp the big picture is both a strength and a potential source of stress.
It's all about finding ways to channel this visionary thinking while breaking down tasks into smaller, manageable steps.
And seeking support and collaboration can make a huge difference. Bernice's story in the book highlights this point beautifully.
Tell me more about Bernice's experience with overwhelm.
Well, initially she struggled with it, striving for perfection and feeling paralyzed by the enormity of tasks.
It's easy to get caught in that perfectionism trap.
It is. But eventually, Bernice discovered that celebrating small victories and embracing imperfection allowed her to achieve goals in a sustainable way.
It's about releasing the pressure of doing everything flawlessly and focusing on progress and self-compassion.
And ultimately, the book advocates for a reframing of how we view productivity.
Challenging those rigid and often unrealistic expectations that just don't align with the ADHD experience.
Instead of trying to fit into a mold that doesn't work, it encourages us to define productivity on our own terms.
Exactly. It's about discovering a rhythm that works for us, one that honors our unique needs and strengths.
And building a system that feels supportive and empowering, rather than restrictive and shame-inducing.
That's a great way to put it. So are you ready to start piecing together some key takeaways from all this information?
Absolutely. But instead of just handing you a prepackaged summary, I think it's much more powerful to actively engage in creating your own personal takeaways.
Ooh, I like that. So what are you suggesting we do?
Take a moment to reflect on what's resonated most with you during this deep dive. What are those aha moments that have stood out?
Okay, so really personalize the experience and make it relevant to our own individual journeys with ADHD.
Precisely. Jot down those insights, the strategies that piqued your interest, and the revelations that felt particularly meaningful.
Creating our own little cheat sheet for navigating the world with ADHD.
Exactly. Because the true value of knowledge lies in its application.
This process of reflection really helps to solidify what we've learned and allows us to use it in our lives.
Absolutely. Remember, Grace Colma's book has a ton of practical tools and exercises. Our chat today was just a taste. There's so much more to discover.
Definitely. Plenty to keep us busy. But before we wrap up, I think it's worth pondering a thought-provoking idea.
All right, I like where this is going. Shoot.
Well, we've discussed a lot about how individuals can adapt and flourish with ADHD, but what about society's expectations around productivity?
You're right. How can those expectations shift to truly embrace neurodiversity?
Exactly. It makes you think about the changes we need at a systemic level to create an environment that's truly inclusive and supportive of all cognitive styles.
A crucial point to consider. Well, this has been a truly enlightening conversation, and a huge thanks for sharing such thought-provoking material with us.
The pleasure was all ours. It's been fantastic to unpack these insights together. We encourage everyone listening to explore the ADHD Focus Friend and any other resources that resonate with you on your journey of self-discovery.
Couldn't agree more. Now, as promised, let's distill 10 actionable takeaways from this deep dive.
Okay, let's do it. Think of these as guiding principles for your journey with ADHD. First up, ADHD is a spectrum, not a one-size-fits-all. Embrace the uniqueness of your experience, both the strengths and challenges.
So true. No two individuals with ADHD are the same. And building on that, number 2 is to recognize the role of intersectionality. Acknowledge those different layers of your identity that shape your experience with ADHD.
Absolutely. It adds a whole new dimension to understanding the complexity of ADHD. Number 3, and this is a big one, mastering emotional regulation is key. Learn to understand and manage your emotional patterns. It's a game changer for many.
It is, and closely tied to that, number 4 is about those pesky clickbait thoughts. Don't fall for them. Challenge those enticing negative interpretations and prevent them from hijacking your reality.
Great advice. Number 5, tune into your nervous system. It's a valuable compass. Learn to nourish and regulate its delicate balance for greater well-being.
And speaking of nourishment, number 6 is about rest. Make it a priority, not a luxury. Explore different types of rest. You might be surprised at what truly revitalizes you.
Absolutely. Rest is essential for everyone, but especially for those with ADHD. Number 7, decode the language of demand avoidance. Understand your need for autonomy. It'll help you set and achieve goals that align with your values.
So true. And on that note, number 8, procrastination isn't always the enemy. It often carries a message. Listen to what it's trying to tell you. Addressing those underlying needs can lead to a more fulfilling and productive experience.
It's a different way of looking at procrastination. Number 9, we talked a lot about hyperfocus. Harness that power wisely, embrace its potential, and learn to manage its downsides. It can be a real asset when used strategically.
Couldn't agree more. And last but not least, number 10, redefine productivity on your own terms. Craft a system that supports your unique brain and fuels your motivation instead of feeling restricted by external expectations.
Such an important point. So there you have it, 10 actionable takeaways to help you navigate your journey with ADHD. But remember, knowledge is only as good as its application.
Absolutely. Take what resonates with you, experiment, explore, and most importantly, be kind to yourself throughout the process.
Wise words. This deep dive has been a springboard, and we're excited to see where you jump from here. Until next time, embrace the adventure of continual learning.